Oh, sweet! Paladins released on Switch. I remember playing this game once for free. Damn it! It costs money on Switch? Ah! Ooh, what's this about Paladins on Switch? I'm already downloading it! Well, people are gonna hate me for this video. So, Paladins is an online first-person hero shooter. It was developed by Evil Mojo Games and published by a company called Hi-Rez Studios, who have published other games like a battle arena game called Smite, which I hear is pretty fun, and a battle royale game called Realm Royale. Does anyone still play this? Anyway, Paladins was first shown as an open beta game on Steam. From there it got some popularity, but for the worst reasons. Aside from other things like a lot of bugs, maps not being very good, and gameplay needing refinement, many people considered Paladins at the time a ripoff of Overwatch, as Paladins released around the same time as Overwatch and had some similarities in gameplay. However, later on, Evil Mojo Games listened to criticism, and as the game started to expand to consoles like PS4, Xbox One, and eventually the Nintendo Switch, it started to gain a decently sized fanbase as over time they fixed bugs, added more characters, made everything more refined to the point where the game isn't in beta anymore. Yeah, this game has gotten pretty far. I mean, 25 million players. Whether you like the game or not, you gotta admit that's pretty impressive. Now, I'm gonna let you know that I'm gonna be reviewing Paladins mostly on its own merits, since when it comes to these hero shooters aside from this game, I've played a little bit of Team Fortress 2 and none of Overwatch. Now, with that being said, let's get into the gameplay. So, Paladins, as well as Overwatch, takes inspiration from a first-person shooter called Team Fortress 2, where you pick from the big cast of colorful characters that are in different classes, pick between modes, and battle it out with your team online to complete the objective. There are 3 main game modes to choose from. You have the main mode, Siege, where you try to capture a point with your team for a certain amount of time. Then a payload will appear, and you need to guide it to the team's goal, and make sure your team doesn't die or else the other team can push the payload back extremely slowly. Onslaught is a mode where you and your team must capture a large area of the map and hold it while keeping enemies away until you reach 400 points or tickets. Your team earns 1 ticket each second when you're capturing the point, and can earn 5 tickets by killing a player. Look guys, I'm not kidding, the website calls the points tickets. Team Deathmatch is as the name implies, it's a full-fledged battle, and the team to get 40 kills is the winner. I'd say Team Deathmatch is my favorite out of the modes. It's definitely the most planned, but it's straightforward, to the point, and has the least issues in my opinion. I do like Siege though, it's pretty fun trying to push the payload to the other team's goal as you're killing enemies. However, Onslaught is a mode that I'm extremely mixed on. It's not the way the mode is that bothers me, it's how the maps take advantage of it. The mode only has 4 maps to play on, and 2 of them have the capture point located in very tight spaces, and it can get really frantic. I'm sure people like this just fine, but I'm just not a big fan of it myself. However, the 2 other maps, Marauder's Port and Magistrates Archives, are great for this mode. They are decently sized and easy to get around. I especially love Magistrates Archives. So many ways to get to the capture point, and it's extremely fun to travel around. Though these 3 modes are in quick play mode, other ways of playing are, what the hell is this? Yeah, this game has a ranked mode, and honestly it isn't that different from the normal quick play mode. The only difference is being that people take turns picking characters so they're more prepared, and you earn more rewards as you build up your rank for the battle pass. Yeah, this game has a battle pass. Oh yeah, and the only mode you can play on ranked is Siege. And that's pretty boring. I can see people enjoying this, but I'd rather play quick play honestly. You can also make custom games by having your own settings, even doing 1 versus 1 matches, and inviting people over, or just make them public. I don't make custom games that much, but it's a cool option to have at least. Of course, you could practice either by doing matches against AI, and target practice with any character of your choosing, which works the way you'd expect, pretty fine. Speaking of the characters, Paladins has a good amount to choose from. However, you only start out with a couple of characters and you need to unlock the rest of them either by getting gems with money, or occasionally weekly sign-ins, or gold that you get in battles. I could see grinding to get all the characters being pretty stressful for some people, but for me personally, it adds a bit of replay value, and even then, I usually pick a couple of characters and stick with them. But yeah, whether you're up for that or not is up to you. Anyway, all of them are separated into 4 classes. Frontline, which are in charge of protecting your teammates, damage that can deal a lot of blow to your enemies, flanks who are quick on their feet and can kill you from the rear, and support who are the backbone of your team, offering both good offense and defense, and having the ability to heal allies. Each champion has their own weapon and 4 skills that make them stand out. Of course, the skills are limited by a cooldown so you don't spam them and that you're not too overpowered. What's cool about each champion is that you can customize them by making your own loadout using cards. With cards, their abilities are enhanced by your choosing. I've heard most people complain about the card system, but to be honest, I don't mind it that much. Yeah, in a way, it can make your character a bit overpowered, but I never notice it, and it's nice to have a little bit of customization. Each character also has their own talents, which can bring a benefit to your weapon. Like with Cassie, for example, the Exaction talent can have your next shot of the bow and arrow deal 30% more damage after you do a dodge, or the Impulse talent can increase damage of the blast shot and reduce cooldown by 2 seconds. Now, in terms of design, charm, and abilities, I'd say the champions here are pretty sweet. I think a lot of the designs here look pretty nice overall, and each character have their own backstory behind them. Now granted, they're not expanded upon as this game has no story or even web cinematics like Overwatch did, but it's nice to see the developers put some effort into giving each character a backstory and making them a little interesting. I'd say out of all the champions, my favorite has gotta be Pip. His potion launcher is fun to use, and using his weightless skill gives him so much mobility. Of course, he's a support, so he can heal himself and teammates, and with the Catalyst talent, he can use his explosive flask and gain more damage on enemies. So much fun. Other favorites of mine include Androxus, Dragoz, Eevee, and Koga. Koga's abilities are fun and quick, Eevee's 4 abilities are admittedly not the best, but I like her main weapon. Dragoz's ultimate is fun to use, and Androxus' main weapon is freaking killer! Now when it comes to character balancing, this was something that I was ready to complain about. Hell, I was actually gonna go on a full-on rant. But Evil Mojo decided to release a new update for the game while I was writing the script, and I've looked on their website and apparently they have addressed the balancing issues when it comes to the characters. They removed at least 1 talent from some of the characters and tweaked them in terms of abilities. So some characters I hated dealing with in battles like Skye and Talus, while not great, I don't hate them as much anymore since some of their abilities have been changed a little bit. Dredge is still OP though, and Victor is still kind of a bland Call of Duty-like character. I'm serious, just use his ultimate and you get top play automatically most of the time. But I can say while the character balancing isn't perfect, it's at least getting better, which makes me a happy Fonzo. Let's talk maps. Funny enough, Overwatch has 14 maps and Paladins has 21 maps. Now, I'm not about to make some argument like, oh, well, Paladins has 21 maps and Overwatch has 14. Overwatches are better in every way. Instead, I'm gonna say that Paladins maps in general are pretty good. Design-wise, a lot of them are fun to battle through and are decently sized as of currently. Maps when it came to the beta version of this game looked way too big, were really empty, and just felt bland. Luckily, as of now, all of the maps follow a design choice of not being too small, but not too big, just the right size. Like I said before, the only time I wasn't a fan of the maps were 2 maps in Onslaught mode where the control points were in tight spaces. Again, critically, those maps aren't bad at all, but I'm just not a fan of how crazy things got. Most of the maps work well with their respected modes. With Siege, of course, all you're really doing is guiding a payload, but you at least get to appreciate how the maps are designed before people show up out of nowhere to try to murder your ass! Team Deathmatch's maps tend to be pretty sizable, which is nice since the only real goal is to kill people so you could just go nuts. Now in terms of aesthetics, this is where we have 1 positive and 1 negative, and it adds up into the middle area. Now the graphics of this game don't help too much as detailing and texturing could be a bit better. Everything could appear a little blurry both on consoles and PC. Of course this was done so the game was able to run smoothly on low powered PCs, which is why I could tolerate it. I think what helps the maps and the entire game stand out, however, is the art style. Paladins is going for a fantasy cartoony art style and it helps set things apart. The maps look good aesthetically because they all follow that mystical style. However, the game isn't too scared to add other things to make certain maps stand out. For example, Murata's Port incorporates some pirate-like aesthetics. Magistrates Archives is basically a fucking observatory that somehow isn't getting destroyed. And Warder's Gate looks very modern while still keeping the mystical fantasy art style. I think that helps the maps and the characters look very interesting. This game knows what style it wants and it fully embraces it. Overall, maps are pretty well handled here and are charming in their own way. Now, since this game is free but has a budget, there are of course microtransactions. Think of Fortnite, where there is a battle pass and the game has its own currency for getting cosmetic skins, champions, and chests containing goodies which are bought with crystals. The only way to get crystals is either to pay for them or do a daily sign-in, and even then you get 15 crystals on the 6th day and 35 crystals on the 7th day. And let me remind you that most things cost at least 100 crystals. Now, this would be a little scummy if this game didn't have another form of currency, gold. You get gold after doing matches and can also get them in the free battle pass. And guess what? You can actually get the champions and even cosmetic skins as long as you've unlocked some of them for the characters by leveling those characters up. You can't get as much with gold as you can with crystals, but at least you can get some cool things with gold. And while yes, it does involve a bit of grinding with the game, it's still at least fair. Look at this red suit for Pip I got. I love this skin. So yeah, this game doesn't encourage you to pay for stuff, and I'm glad. It's better than Fortnite in my opinion, where the free battle pass you get is very limiting, and getting V-Bucks without paying is a nightmare. Look at Paladins' free battle pass. You can actually get stuff. This is refreshing as hell. I know I've surprisingly been pretty positive towards this game, but the truth is, I have a big appreciation towards this game, unlike a good amount of people. Why do you think I wanted to review Paladins out of all games? I wanted to shine some light on a hero shooter that gets a lot of flack for its small issues. I'm not saying people have to like Paladins, but most of the time when I see people critique this game, they're either comparing it to Overwatch or just simply nitpicking. Don't get me wrong, Paladins does have its issues, like the character balancing still needs some work, the occasional bugs, and the graphics aren't the best, but I think Paladins makes up for that with good gameplay, a solid roster, and fun modes. What started out as a beta hero shooter with a lot of issues transformed into a game that has shown improvement and refinement over the years. I definitely highly encourage you to play this game. It's free on PC, Xbox One, PS4, and Nintendo Switch, and I promise you'll have a good time. I am Fonzo McGeek, and I want to thank Evil Mojo Games for making a game that I've been having a lot of fun with recently. I hope Paladins gets better as time goes on. Can't wait for the future of Paladins.